Click the first link in the description for the best Askreddit content. My 30th boyfriend, 32M, seems to be obsessed with stalking his old longtime crushes and wondering if it's breakup worthy. One day I noticed my boyfriend Rob, friends for several years, dating for 1.5 years, had dozens of screenshots of Instagram stories from random girls. Specifically 2 girls. There were more, but these 2 came up a lot. Doing some research, it seems he does know these 2 girls, but he doesn't talk to them or hasn't in a long time. The screenshots were anything from bikini pictures to like a flower assortment they made with them not even being in the picture. It was really fucking weird and my heart dropped seeing all these screenshots. I even caught him screenshotting his phone wallpaper, so it was the thumbnail of that and not of a random girl. I confronted him about the screenshots. Got into a big fight over it, mostly about why I was snooping through his phone. I went to send a picture of myself to my phone and that's when I noticed the pictures. He deleted Instagram out of anger and didn't even really have an explanation for the pictures, but he deleted them all. Things were tense for a few days, but we eventually went back to normal though. However, since then I have been keeping tabs. I know that's bad, but those screenshots really fucked with me. He'll check these girls' Facebook almost every day. He'll look up one of the girls' wedding business website. He just stalks them. No messages or anything though, and he had stopped taking screenshots, but that's because he didn't have Instagram to do so anymore. This one day I found on his laptop copy and pasted messages from 3 years ago. In his WordPad messages he'd sent to a mutual friend between him and one of the girls he stalks. Let's just call the girl he stalks Jenna. In the message to their mutual friend he basically just complimented Jenna, saying how much of a cool and unique girl she is and how he has admiration for her and that he stopped by her store again but hope he didn't come off creepy, etc. The messages came off pretty weird, as if he was being creepy but didn't want to be. Anyway, my heart dropped again because has he really just been obsessing over some willy-nilly crush for 3 years? I had no idea what to make of it and continued to keep tabs. For a while things seemed to be better though. I would check and seems like he'd taken a break from stalking them and I had hope he came to his sense. Until today when I looked at his phone and his internet history and it seems he found a way to see their Instagram, because there's a site where you don't need an Instagram account to look at profiles and even their story. And I noticed he looked up Jenna and the other girl and looked through their pictures and even screenshot Jenna's Instagram stories again, which was seriously just a picture of a fucking book she was reading with a caption talking about how this gives her peace and relaxation or some shit. I wanted to scream and cry. I don't know what to do. If I confront him about this again we'll surely break up, because the last time we almost did because he was mad I went through his phone and pulled the whole well we fight too much, so maybe this is for the best anyway, because it seems we're not right for each other, but he almost always fucking says shit like every time we bicker or fight, which isn't even all the time as he claims, and seems like it's just a cop-out for not talking about the actual issue at hand. Also, I live in his place and I don't really have anywhere to go. I could ask my sister and her husband if I can stay with them, but they live in a small 1-bedroom condo. I would love to work out with him, or even just ignore it, but I fucking can't. Knowing I'm sitting on the toilet typing this out while he's stalking some chick he had a crush on 3 years ago is crushing me. It's not even like they dated or even seemed they were even close friends at all. Just an acquaintance he met through friends. What do I do? Is this normal? Would you break up with someone over this, or this no big deal and everyone does this? Like, I admit I'll check my ex-boyfriend's page like once in a blue moon, but this is really excessive, like it's an obsession. He's usually always so sweet and loving to me. He calls me his honey and says he loves me every day. He even recently put his Facebook picture a nice pic of us, so it's not like he's hiding me. It's like he'll stalk these girls aggressively, then come home an hour later from work and hug and kiss me and says how much he missed me. It's all fucking with my head and I just don't know what to do. TLDR, boyfriend stalks old crushes' social medias and I don't know what to do about it. As someone who has been stalked twice, this gets to me. What he's doing is not okay or normal. It's really creepy and should definitely send red flags to you, even if he's not physically following them or something. My honest advice, break up with him and tell the girls he's creeping on. This is not something you will get over or he'll stop doing. I have an ex who did something similar. No screenshots, but constant checking in on a few different girls. I'm also guilty of checking the user history on FB. One girl was on X, one was another girl whom he had met through other friends, one was a long-time friend in another state. I confronted him about all of this as well, and he too freaked out. He would ultimately open up after calming down. General excuse would be, he didn't know why. At one point in time the girl from out of state was in town to see family, also mutual friends of his, and there was a get-together we were invited to. He was polite enough to bring me along, not polite enough to basically flirt with her right in my face. Family and friends mentioned it to him and I, too, so it wasn't me over-analyzing. That really hit me, and later I went back to his FB history and none of the behavior stopped. He does know why, he does do it consciously, and it is all without your best interest or your feelings in mind. If any of the above was a worry, or thought it wouldn't be happening. My ex and I are not together for other reasons, and we continued to stay together because we too lived together. I also wanted things to work, and I consistently tried to make excuses or convince myself one day I would be enough. But, I wouldn't be. As I said, we aren't together for other reasons, but had that not happened I would still be there today. Don't be me, don't make excuses. Even living situation. He won't change, and you deserve better. He's obsessed with another woman. Why is this even a question of normal or something you should put up with? Just make arrangements to leave. There are too many people in this relationship. He'll know what you're talking about. I had a BF who did something similar. No screenshots but constantly checking on one girl, few over time but one was constant. We fought about it multiple times. But with any issue I brought up in the relationship, he said something similar to what you all said. If that's what you want, maybe we're not right for each other, or even maybe you need to find a sensitive guy instead. Listen to these. These are the truths. We had many issues and I left. Now I'm with the best man ever who loves me, listens to me, and communicates with me openly. We compromise and do what we can to make each other comfy and happy. Leave. Find someone that loves you and prioritizes you and the relationship. My only regret is that I wish I had enough respect for myself to leave that ex earlier. His behavior is so creepy. His obsession with this girl is way beyond normal curiosity about someone you haven't seen in a while. In fact, he knows it's creepy, because he got mad and defensive when you asked about it. You need to get out of there and never look back. How to stop competing with fellow daughter-in-law. I, F31, am married to one of 3 brothers, let's call them Alex, Brad, and Chad. I'm married to Alex and we live in the same town as Brad and his wife and daughters. Chad and his new wife, F30, live across the country. He used to live in the same city as Chad and his wife and were all good friends. However, now that we've moved, we're much closer to my parents-in-law, and this has created a lot of tension with Chad's wife and myself. My Mill and I get along very well and hang out regularly, and it's very obvious that Chad's wife feels a great amount of FOMO and is very envious of that relationship. When she visits, there are a lot of attempts aimed directly at me to keep me at arm's length while she spends time with Mill. She's an only child who isn't used to sharing parental attention, and feels particularly invested in being my Mill's favorite. I used to think only I noticed this, but my husband's aunt made a comment about it the other day saying she's noticed it being pretty over the top on past family trips. My husband is very level-headed and says to just rise above this behavior and let Chad's wife do what she needs to do in order to feel good. But when someone is competitive with me, it makes me competitive too. Now Chad and his wife are looking seriously at moving to our town too, and I'm worried this competitive dynamic will be around all the time, and worst case, carry down to our future kids. Obviously we are linked together for life and used to be good friends, so I feel like there should be a path forward to be less competitive. Does anyone have any advice or similar experience? Weirdly I don't feel this at all with Brad's wife. but I think it's because she and I are so different that there's no competing, whereas Chad's wife and I have much more in common. Too long didn't read. I essentially have a sibling rivalry with an especially competitive fellow daughter-in-law and I want to learn how to rise above it. Agree with your husband. Also, start working with a therapist to address why you are going into compete mode by default. It's going to put you in a bad place. Your husband is level-headed and right. The next excuse you offer, that you get competitive because someone else is well kind of ridiculous. Just what are you competing for? No really, is your Mill's attention the trophy and why does such a weird trophy mean anything to you? Is it really your own version of need and subtle superiority and experience sharing resources, which you so quickly and easily explain for your Sill's behavior? The only thing you can alter is how you approach, frame, and then respond to the situation. I have the feeling that therapy would help you do that. Maybe with a whole therapist, but maybe at least starting with one of those fearless moral inventories and some real talk with that level-headed husband of yours. Honestly, just let her keep making a fool out of herself. If the aunt has noticed, Mill has also probably noticed. Just keep doing what you're doing and don't let her pettiness and dramatics get to you. Does Mill lay golden eggs? A jewel falls from her mouth each time she speaks. Call it competition, which has gritty, honorable connotations. But when the prize is someone's approval, it's just brown-nosing. If Mill turns her attention to the other daughter, let her. You have other loved ones. You don't need Mill, at least not to the point of debasing yourself with a pick-me dance. My husband is very level-headed and says to just rise above this behavior and let Chad's wife do what she needs to do in order to feel good. He's right. If you need a competition aspect, make the competition who is the most mature. Let her progressively make a fool of herself while everyone else observes. Trust, they're noticing. In the meantime, go about your normal Mill relationship and set boundaries with Sill if ever necessary. Or Mill can figure out how to handle her clinginess herself. Girlfriend, 22F, bought me, 23M, a very expensive gift and I feel horrible. My girlfriend, 22F, bought me, 23M, an incredibly expensive gift and I feel horrible. I have been dating this girl for 2.5 years now, and we will probably settle down and marry within the coming years. She's my rock, and she's awesome. Recently I've been upgrading some computer parts, and the last one on my list was an incredibly expensive graphics card. She caught me off guard and told me she would buy it for me, and was adamant about getting it to the point where she was getting frustrated if I didn't pick the exact version I wanted. She wanted me to get exactly what I wanted, no shortcuts or workaround. Feel bad. This part was $500, and she works a minimum wage job. This part she bought me was 80 hours of her life, and I'm debating asking her to cancel it. She's not hurting financially, she's got a healthy savings account, but I still feel horrible knowing someone worked so hard to just say let me buy this for you. Is it normal to feel this way? Do I accept it or politely ask to cancel the order? Obviously I'm over the moon excited, but the last thing I want is to take her hard-earned money from her. I feel like she's always keeping me afloat emotionally and that is more than enough of a gift to me as it is. I feel like I don't even do half as much for her as she does for me, and she is an incredible person. Too long didn't read. Girlfriend bought expensive computer part for me and I feel terrible because it's her very hard-earned money. Do I accept it or could I politely ask to cancel the order? Edit. Thank you to everyone providing insight. I'll have to try harder to keep my trap shut because she's definitely the type to try to do this again next year. As for those who say I should go to therapy, I agree completely. I actually have an appointment set up to return to it in October, so hopefully we can get over that low self-esteem hurdle. It helps to know an outside perspective, and I appreciate everyone taking the time to let me know gift receiving is part of the languages of love, as long as it's not being taken advantage of. Man, she loves you. This is one way she shows you she loves you. You would do the same for her, yeah? If she was hurting financially or was known to make bad money decisions, then I'd say have a conversation with her. But since she's not, there's no need to feel guilty. Feel you need to self-reflect and ask yourself why your views of yourself are so low that you feel you don't deserve this gift. Seems like you love her and value her and her hard work. I would be thankful and gracious. And maybe be cautious about talking about your wants in the future. Smile. Thank you. That last part is definitely good advice. I just feel guilty about it. Any recommendations on what I can do to thank her? I was thinking a surprise date or something similar. She's a bit of a foodie and loves trying new things. If she really wants to buy you it, let her. Things will always come around and you will have an opportunity to buy her something she would like, and besides you sound like you're set on her being the one for you. Thus is love, and gestures like this reinforce your care and love for one another. It's what keeps it real between both of you. Keep in mind that she wants to give you something that you truly would like to have. Unselfish, kind, loving and sincere. Be grateful and understand that this is a gift of love. She is a very special gal. Don't hurt her by rejecting her expression of love. Pay her back with kindness and appreciation for her being in your life. You are one lucky dude. You need to let her do this, and you also need to show an appropriate amount of gratitude. She wants you to have it. She wants to show you how much she loves you. Don't ruin it. Thank her. Tell her you know how many hours it took her to save up for it. Tell her you feel loved. Don't turn a lovely gesture into an awkward situation. Thank you. I needed to hear this. I just always feel bad for her when she comes home from work because she wrapped up a 4-year degree and only was able to land the job she has now. Told her I wanted her help installing it so the PC can have a little touch of her, and she laughed and was all about it.